Hello everyone. Some moons ago we had a subscriber challenge where I staked out a course in one of the river canyons on Kerbin, and we all had a great time racing planes and helicopters and all sorts of contraptions down it. We had such a good time that I thought it deserved a second edition. So my idea was that I would take a look at the longest river on Kerbin and use that for this challenge. After giving it a full run, I realized that this course is going to be quite a bit different. So for this challenge, I'm going to open it up and let you guys either do the original course or the new one. The original Monte Karlo course is quite a bit tighter, quite a lot more challenging per corner, but is a lot shorter. So I think that course lends itself more to a challenge if you're trying to fly extremely quickly and right on the limits of what is possible. Whereas this new course is going to be a lot better if you're trying to go for more of a flight simulator experience and really force yourself to be able to fly consistently and safely. If you want to check out the original Monte Karlo course, I will link the video in the description where I went through that course in a lot of detail. And in this video, we're going to look at the new course. The run you're going to see in this video is kind of my first run, actually the third one that I started. The first run that I started, I was going in the other direction from the source of the river to the mouth. But for whatever reason, the way this river branches is the opposite of what you would expect, and I quickly realized that I didn't know which turns to take going that way to actually get to the ocean. So for my second start, I reversed it and started at the mouth of the river and headed towards the source. Pretty early on into the run, I overheated the whiplash engine on the back and burned it off, and also realized that there was no way I was going to have enough fuel to make it all the way to the source of the river the way I was flying. So for this run, I've decided to not redesign, but I'm just going to throttle back to increase my range. And during the run, I'll talk a bit about how piloting can affect the range you're going to get in this challenge. The first thing you'll need to know how to start this course is how to get to the starting point. So I've put a map of Kerbin up here, but to really get all the details, I do recommend checking out the document linked in the description. The exact starting point and time of your run is when the biome changes from water to shores. Now, I recommend you have a mod like Kerbal Engineer that'll give you a readout telling you exactly when this happens. It's okay if you don't have it, especially because this course is a little bit less of a race and more of an endurance challenge, but still, I recommend you have it. I don't really care how you get to the start of the course, if you want to use a cheat engine to get there, or fuel hacks, or a cargo plane. Doesn't matter to me. The one stipulation I will put there is you shouldn't be throwing your plane into the course faster than it would be able to reach under its own power. As with the original Monte Karlo challenge, the ceiling for this course is going to be 400 meters for the standard course, or 200 meters for the low altitude course. And again, if you're looking for the exact details on the course limits, please check out the document in the description. Starting off here, we're on a straight, but the first couple corners here are going to be the most challenging on the entire course. First off, we have a right-hand corner. It's pretty important that you go wide into this because you want to be all the way on the right side of the canyon, because right after that we have a left turn, and you're going to need that space to cut back here. Because I didn't have much practice here, I actually cut this run much closer to the left side than I wanted and had to straighten out there a bit to avoid the wall. After that, we have another straightaway here so we can pick up speed. You'll notice I am throttling back here. As I mentioned previously, this is a very long course, and if I leave it on full throttle, I'm going to run out of fuel well before the end. Now you're going to notice throughout this course that you can overfly some of the land on the edge of the canyon. That's not only fine, that's encouraged. I encourage you to try to fly as close to the walls as possible because it's fun and exciting and dangerous. However, make sure you don't leave the canyon entirely. So after this straightaway, we are going to be making a hard right corner. Kind of like the first set of corners, this is going to be a right turn and then a left. So you want to stay super close to the wall so we have enough room to cut back and make that S corner. The closer you cut it to the wall, the better the corner is going to be in terms of holding your speed. but the closer you're going to be to the wall. So fly at your own peril. After these first couple sequences, the course is going to chill out for a bit, so I'm going to use this moment to talk about what kind of entries I'm looking for in this challenge. The plane I'm using for this trial run is pretty straightforward, pretty quick jet, and I'm going to fly it pretty quick, so trying to beat the benchmark time I'm going to set here would be a good challenge to go for. But it's not the only thing you can go for. In the original challenge, I had people who made helicopters and paramotors, boats, and all sorts of really creative things. Or think of something I haven't thought of. I really want to be surprised here. After that straighter section, there are another couple tricky sequences of turns in here. It was my first time flying through these, so definitely don't take my line as the best way to do it. I mentioned at the beginning that the reason we're starting at the ocean for this run is that it's easier to avoid wrong turns. There's one exception to that on this course where it's really easy to make a wrong turn and end up off the course. So I want to make this absolutely clear in the video. I'm going to pause it here because I want you guys to take a good look at this. It looks like the river canyon is just turning left here, but there's a fork on the right of this, hidden behind the ridgeline in the center, that actually leads to the rest of the river going up to the source. This is the only place where this river forks where it's easy to make a wrong turn. Generally speaking, all the other forks off of this river would require an extreme greater than 90-degree turn to get off of where you're supposed to go. There's one other exception, but in that case, it seemed to me that it's pretty obvious to go the right way. I will point out that one as well. After wrong way fork, there's a difficult sequence of turns, and I'm going to talk a little bit about piloting as we go through them. Generally, the idea in this run is going to be before a turn, you want to be on the wide side of the canyon towards the outside of the turn. As you go through the turn, you want to maneuver your way to the inside. The point where you're closest to the inside of the turn is called the apex, and you want that to happen around the middle of the turn. After exiting the turn, you want to go wide to the outside. I didn't go all the way to the outside there because I still want to be on the right wall because there's a left turn immediately after that. I'm going to do the same thing with that turn, maneuver to the inside towards the middle of the turn, and then let myself drift out to the outside. Since this course is so long, there is going to be a trade-off between speed and fuel efficiency. A little bit of that is because you're going to be generating more drag the faster you go, but mostly it's because of the corners. To get around these corners, there's a certain amount of g-force we need to achieve the necessary centripetal acceleration. Centripetal acceleration is proportional to the square of your velocity. That means that if you go into a corner twice as fast, you're going to need 4 times as much centripetal acceleration to hold the corner. If you go in 3 times as fast, you're going to need 9 times as much. This means that the faster you go into the corner, the more lift you're going to need from the wings to maintain that corner. There's a certain lift to drag ratio you're going to get from your wings. This is dependent on angle of attack, but let's ignore that for now and just assume it's constant. If you go twice as fast into a corner, you require 4 times as much centripetal acceleration, and that means you're going to need 4 times as much lift, which means you're going to generate 4 times as much drag on the wings to hold that corner. This means the faster you're going, the more speed you're going to lose going through the corners. This loss of speed has to be countered somewhere, and in this case, I am countering it with my engines. That means that the faster I fly into corners, the more speed I'm losing and the more fuel it requires to maintain my overall speed. Now, in reality, if you're using a reasonable amount of wings, when you're in tight corners, you're going to be exceeding the angle of attack that gives you your optimal lift-to-drag ratio. So this square relationship is probably actually worse when you're looking at your actual speed in corners versus delta V loss. The TLDR on all of that is that flying faster is going to enormously increase your fuel usage in terms of delta V. To give you an idea of how extreme this can be, on the Monte Karlo course, I flew a clipped Rapier jet that ate through more than 15,000 meters per second of delta V in 1 minute and 48 seconds. The reason that this simple, straightforward jet I'm using is able to complete this run is mostly because I'm just flying it a lot slower. If you're trying to go faster, one good way to do it would just be to put more fuel in it. So we're here at the second fork on the river where I think someone is likely to make a wrong turn. The main fork of the river goes to the left. We want to take that. There's a smaller fork to the right. It's small enough that you might just miss it, which is fine. We want to stay to the left anyway. But if you do see it, you'll know you're getting towards the end of the course and we want to stay left. While we are getting towards the end of the course, we still have a little ways to go. And I realized at this point that as careful as I had been with the throttle, I had still used more fuel than I should have by this point. So I tried to slow down here and conserve my fuel and try to make it to the line. However, this still wasn't enough, and I ran out of fuel, still having not reached the end of the course. Fortunately, I had enough momentum built up that I figured I should be able to coast the rest of the way there. You will overfly 2 little strips of land right at the end. The official end of the course is when the biome changes from shores to grassland. After you've done that, your run is done. You are free to crash it, land it stylishly, land it unstylishly, do whatever you want to do. If this looks like something you're interested in, please check out the document in the description that'll give the detailed rules. The official rules are that document and not this video. Also, feel free to check out the videos for the previous challenge, see what people did for that one, maybe get some inspiration. Also, feel free to try something completely new. I can't wait to see what you guys have for me.